let us imagine for a moment that the Matt Mercer effect is ruining D&D. Let's just imagine. That would not be the fault of Matt Mercer. That would not be the fault of Critical Role. That would be 100% entirely the fault of the morons who watch that game and come away with false expectations and think that this is the gold standard, D&D must be this way. Like that, it's their fault. It's their fault for not thinking critically. What are your thoughts on the Matt Mercer effect? Do you think it's ruining D&D? So this commentary is going to be about 3 years late, or 2 years late. I feel like the whole gamut, the whole Matt Mercer effect thing, that was a really big thing. I think about 2 years ago, like all of the YouTubers were running videos on the Matt Mercer effect and stuff. I think one YouTuber was like, don't call it the Matt Mercer effect, call it the pro DMing effect. And I saw that and I was just like, yeah, but then nobody's gonna know what you're talking about, dude. Just call it, use common parlance. Call it what other people call it so we all have a common understanding of what the heck you're talking about. I was like, people like quibbling over like semantics. It's like, it's the same thing. Only, you know, if I say remolacha, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But if I say pickled beets, we're like, oh yeah, okay. So I'm gonna use language that most people understand. Anyway, that's a side rant. Sorry, that was a side rant. So basically the idea of the Matt Mercer effect, my understanding of what it is, let me define what it is. This is my understanding of it, is the idea that people will watch Critical Role and Matt Mercer and they'll be like, that is the way that a dungeon master has to run their game. They'll come away with that understanding, that belief. It's an incorrect belief. It is a wrong belief, but they will come away with the belief that the way he runs his games is the way that they must run their D&D games. And so that is my understanding. So a set of expectations is developed, and this is not just dungeon masters. So a dungeon master might be like, I need to run a game like this, but then players will watch Critical Role and Matt Mercer, and players will be like, wow, this is the way it's done. Like, look at, they have millions of people watching them. This must be the gold standard for how a D&D game is run. Thank you, phone, for beeping in the middle of my talk. This is the gold standard for how D&D must be run. So players will come away from that and be like, this is the way it's supposed to be done. And they have their own expectations of what a D&D game should be. And then when they go to play D&D with their, let's just call him a normal dungeon master, right? The game is nothing like what they saw on TV. Nothing like what they saw in Critical Role. And then they're just like, oh, this dungeon master sucks. Like, he's nothing like this one I saw over here on TV, you know? And so that is my understanding of the Matt Mercer effect. And so players have misconceived, improper expectations of what D&D should be like. Dungeon masters might feel pressure because there's these expectations and stuff. So that's my understanding of what the Matt Mercer effect is. So having defined what we're talking about, the question then was, what are my thoughts on it? Do you think it's ruining D&D? It's really hard to say it's ruining D&D. Like, I have yet to see any impact to me. I don't know. I mean, there might be just like, you know, thousands of people out there in the streets, you know, that have felt the impact of this. I don't know. It's like, you know, I just haven't seen any tangible impacts in my own personal life, in my interaction with the community, really a whole lot. So it's hard for me to say it's ruining D&D. Does it create false expectations? Sure, probably. You know, but that's because people don't really understand. Their brains aren't working properly in a way. Like, they don't understand that what you see over here is what we call a D&D show. Okay? And not only is it a D&D show where they are intentionally cooperating together to put on a performance for you, the viewer, but they're also professional entertainers. They're professionals. This is what they do for a living. This is their jobs. and they practice a lot, and they're also voice actors, so they can make really good voices, way better than I can do or almost anybody else. So like you watch this show and you think this is the gold standard, and then you come over to your D&D group and it's like, no, dude. Okay, D&D show, D&D game. A D&D show's purpose is to provide entertainment to the viewer. A D&D game's purpose is to provide entertainment to the players. There's a difference between the two. There's a big difference between the two. And not only that, but every dungeon master is different. Every dungeon master is good at different things and worse at other things. Like, I might, for instance, comment on some dungeon masters' inability to know the rules, and they just don't know the rules. They don't know how the rules work, and they make constant mistakes on the rules. Like, I don't know, if we were to look at season 1 or something, or just other dungeon masters in general. So like, everybody has their strengths and their weaknesses, and that's going to be true. That's going to be true for normal dungeon masters, and also let us not forget that not all dungeon masters have been doing it for a really long time and practicing a lot either. So like, you can't take like these expectations from when you watch a D&D show and apply them to your D&D game. You are going to be disappointed on one level or another. It is illogical. It is just wrong-headed. And so I feel like people that do that, or they're just not, I don't think they're thinking properly or something. You know what I mean? And if those are the expectations that they have, and that a D&D game has to be like that, well then good luck. Good luck finding that. They're very rare, dude. You're probably not going to find a game that is as awesome as you think that one is, but you're just a viewer. You're not even a player. You have no idea. Like, I guarantee you, my cat is freaking out. I guarantee you, I run my Curse of Strahd games here on Twitch on every other Sunday. And I guarantee you that my players are having a lot more fun than most of the audience is. Because we're not playing D&D to entertain the audience. I frankly don't really care about whether the audience is being entertained or not by what we're doing in our Curse of Strahd game. My primary concern is I am running that game for my players. Are they having fun? Are they enjoying themselves? Are they coming back? I am not there to do some melodramatic drama thing on Twitch so that people can watch us play D&D. Like, I don't care, whether there's like 2 viewers who are like, wee, or there's like 1,000 who are like, wee. Like, I am there for my players. And so when you see me running Curse of Strahd, that is my normal D&D game for my players. That's just how we do things, but that's not true. You will, here on Twitch, if you browse around different D&D games, you will find some that are definitely attempting to put on a show. You can tell them. You can feel it. I just know it. It's like, this isn't their real D&D game. They're putting on a show. They're putting on a performance. They're trying to get viewers. They want to make money. Whatever their motivations are, I don't care. I don't know if I answered this question. It's definitely not ruining D&D, but I will tell you this: Critical Role has done such an amazing thing for D&D. Like, depending on whose commentary or opinions you want to listen to, like revitalizing D&D, bringing D&D into the mainstream, doing awesome things for the hobby. So like, whether, if you want to talk about the Matt Mercer effect and all this horse crap, whatever. Okay. So like, I don't see, here's the thing. Let us imagine for a moment that the Matt Mercer effect is ruining D&D. Let's just imagine. That would not be the fault of Matt Mercer. That would not be the fault of Critical Role. That would be 100% entirely the fault of the morons who watch that game and come away with false expectations and think that this is the gold standard. D&D must be this way. Like that, it's their fault. It's their fault for not thinking critically and using their brains, in my opinion. And that might be harsh, but like, it's not Critical Role's fault. It's not Matt Mercer's fault. It's people who don't think critically, okay, and use their brains. I mean, that's the bottom line, in my opinion. It's those people are the responsible for that, and people and also people who perpetuate the misconception that D&D must be that way. No, it shouldn't. No, it shouldn't. D&D can be any way you want it to be. Like, Every group is different. Every group has fun in a different way. Every dungeon master is a little bit different. You know, some groups love tons of combat. You know, some people don't want to talk in voices. They don't want to be voice actors. They just want to roll dice and kill stuff and eat potatoes. Potatoes? If people eat potatoes at game sessions, French fries, potato chips. Let's go with potato chips. So yeah, even if it were ruining D&D, it's not their fault. It's other people's fault. So there's no blame to be laid on them. There is only thanks and gratitude to be directed toward Critical Role and Matt Mercer for what they're doing for our hobby. That's the bottom line.